Okay.
Hi, everybody. Adrian Garcia, County Commissioner, Precinct 2. I want to take this opportunity to welcome you to the Habitat for Humanity virtual homeownership fair. This is a great opportunity for you and your family to receive valuable information about how to convert yourself into a very, very esteemed homeowner. You're going to be in great hands with the Habitat for Humanity team. So thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule to participate, ask questions, take lots of notes, but you will find this information impactful and transformative. And I'm so hopeful that it will work for you and your family. Because for me, in Precinct 2, more people rent where they live than own. And I would much rather you be a homeowner. Owning a home can put you on a path to build wealth. In fact, it represents a significant portion of net wealth for low-income Black and Hispanic households. Owning a home means safety and stability for our families and children. It can improve your family's physical and mental health. It can lead to better test scores and higher rates of high school graduation and college attendance, especially among children of low-income homeowners. And regardless of income level, homeownership is empowering and promotes civic and social engagement. And another great feature of Habitat for Humanity's program is their homes are built with sustainability in mind. This means a reduction in energy consumption, which is not only great for our environment, but also helpful to reduce energy costs for our community's households. Again, I am thrilled that you are here and that you're participating in this virtual homeownership fair. I think you will have found the information helpful and informative, and it is a great opportunity for you and your family to have an important conversation about how to take this information and put it to work and become a homeowner. If you need any more information from us, please reach out to us at Precinct 2. You can visit our website at hcp2.com, or you can simply call us at our call center at 713-274-2222. Or you can follow us on all of the social media platforms. We're on everything between Nextdoor to Facebook to Twitter or X or Instagram and even, yes, TikTok. But to that end, I am so grateful that you were a part of Habitat for Humanity's virtual homeownership fair. And don't forget to tell others that you may know about the information that you received today. Thank you. And I am so hoping that I will hear that one of you in this class, at least one, decided to take the next step and own your own home.
Good morning, everyone. This event will be translated into Spanish in real time. If you need Spanish translation, select your language option now.
Buenos días a todos. Este evento será traducido en español en tiempo real. Si necesita traducción en español, seleccione su opción de idioma en este momento.
Greetings, everyone, and welcome to Houston Habitat for Humanity's Spring 2025 Virtual Homeownership Fair. I am Cassandra Robinson Bacon, the Homeowner Services Director at Houston Habitat for Humanity. I'd like to thank Commissioner Adrian Garcia for beginning today's program with such encouraging words and his commitment to affordable housing for everyone. Our agenda today, we're going to walk through several components of what it takes to be a Houston Habitat homeowner, including why it's important to have good credit and the down payment assistance programs available to you. I would like to also thank our sponsor, Veritex Community Bank, for their support in making this homeownership fair happen. And now we're ready to get started. A few things for you to note throughout the morning. You can use the chat function throughout the day to ask questions at any time. Habitat staff is available to answer those questions for you. We're going to pack a lot of information in a short amount of time and hope you're able to participate in all the sessions. If for some reason you need to leave the fair, all the presentations are being recorded and will be posted on our website for future reference. We're going to begin by giving you an overview of the Houston Habitat Homebuyer Program. During this session, we will discuss our eligibility requirements, application process, where we're building, and our home specifications. And now, I'd like to introduce Monica Tutt, our homeowner services specialist with the Houston Habitat Services team. Welcome, Monica.
Thank you so much, Cassandra, for that warm welcome. Hello, everyone. As Cassandra stated, my name is Monica Tutt. I am the Homeowner Services Specialist here at Houston Habitat, and I'm going to go over our home ownership program for you guys today. So, Habitat home ownership is a game changer for many different reasons, and here are some of those reasons. So, home ownership builds wealth for future generations. A decent, affordable home that you own does improve mental health, physical health all around. Children who live in homes their family owns are more likely to perform better in school, graduate high school, and often attend college. Affordable homes that are in good repair reduce utility bills, which is amazing, especially here in Houston. Individuals who own their homes are more likely to vote and be involved in their neighborhoods. Homeowners invest in their communities by paying property taxes. Next, please. All right, so here at Houston Habitat, we build strength, stability, and self-reliance through shelter. Next. All right, so a little bit about our program. Here at Houston Habitat, we want you to know that we partner with you to help you buy a home. We do not give away houses. A lot of the times, this is a big misconception about our program. The way it's kind of advertised, I know there's a lot of different affiliations throughout the states, but it is a partnership where you will be working with us for about 6 to 12 months, depending on your specific situation. Keep in mind that home ownership does require hard work. So once you start the program and, whenever you're ready to get a home, just be ready to work hard and make it happen. And a little bit about us. As a trusted provider of affordable housing in Houston, we have built over 1,300 homes since 1987. So we have been doing this and helping people become homeowners for quite some time. Our homes are beautiful, energy efficient, and they're built with quality craftsmanship. So, why partner with Houston Habitat? We do help you with challenges as far as, let's say you are trying to raise your credit score. We have in-house credit counselors here. We help you learn how to save. You'll be completing education hours to learn more about everything you need to know to become a responsible homeowner. We determine what you can afford based on your income. We negotiate with lenders to secure a mortgage that fits within your budget. We assist you in saving for your down payment. We collaborate with established entities to secure additional subsidies. And most importantly, we prepare you for the responsibility of home ownership. When you leave our program as a homeowner, we don't want you to just be a homeowner. We want you to be a homeowner for years to come and have all the knowledge that you need to make that happen. All right, so this is a by the numbers example. Heavy on the example. I know a lot of times people see this slide and think it's going to be the cost of your home, but this is just an example of what it will look like to work with Houston Habitat versus purchasing on your own. So for a 30-year fixed mortgage interest rate on your own, you're likely going to have about a 7.2% interest rate. Working with Houston Habitat, we are below market, approximately at 5%. For down payment requirements, if you purchase on your own, you are going to be paying about 3.5% of the purchase price, so around $7,700. Here at Houston Habitat, it's going to be zero. We do work to get you down payment, assistance. Savings match, purchasing on your own, not sure what that looks like, but here at Houston Habitat, you are going to get a savings match of around $2,000. Closing costs that you pay. Purchasing on your own, you pay about between $8,000 and $10,000. Here at Houston Habitat, you're going to pay about $2,000, whereas Houston Habitat will pay between $6,000 and $8,000. So while you're in the program, you are going to be required to save a minimum of $2,500, but that is going to be your focus. Okay, and we'll talk about that later, of course. Subsidies towards your mortgage. Again, not sure how that works on your own. Here at Houston Habitat, we do try to get you about $35,000. Now, this does vary based on your income, your specific situation. Now, for monthly payment, if your home on your own was around $1,441 a month, at Habitat, that payment would be $982, sorry. And again, I just want you guys to understand that this is an example. It may not be your specific numbers for your home when you go to purchase, okay? So this is not a promise of rates or funding, basically just an example to show you what purchasing looks like from Habitat. Next. All right, so now let's go over the basic qualifications for our program. Again, this is a partnership where we're partnering with you to get a home, so we do have qualifications. One, you have to be a U.S. citizen or have a permanent residency status. You have to demonstrate a need for housing, be willing to partner with us as it is a partnership, and then you have to have the ability to pay. Of course, you have to be able to pay your mortgage. All right, so the need for housing. Let's say you live in an overcrowded situation, you live in substandard housing, you live in an unsafe or unsanitary neighborhood, and then if you're paying more than 33% of your gross income on rent. Now, if you think that you have a need for housing, but is something else that's not on the list, you can always reach out to us and we'll definitely speak with you about, that if you have questions. Willingness to partner is extremely important for our program. It's a really big part. So with the willingness to partner, you are going to be performing sweat equity hours, which we are going to go over. You're going to save funds towards your closing costs. Again, coming into the program, just know that you are going to have to save a minimum of $2,500. That means you may have to change your spending habits. You may have to sacrifice for a little bit, but definitely keep that in mind. You will be completing financial literacy courses. And a big thing is you have to be able to live where we build homes. We get lots of questions about, we build in certain areas in Houston, but you are going to be purchasing your home where we build and what we have available at the time of your closing. So if you have a plot of land in Katy that you want us to build on, we do not do that. Or if you want to specifically live, I don't know, in Robbins Landing or in the Woodlands, we can't do that. You are going to be purchasing that home where we build. And this is extremely important to know when coming into the program. All right, next. All right, so ability to pay. Can you afford a home? You have to meet the minimum annual household gross income of $50,000. So that is the base. To be in our program, you have to make a minimum of $50,000, whether you're a one-person household or an eight-person household. All right, so you cannot exceed the maximum income for the family size. For instance, if you have two individuals that will be living in your home, a family size of two, you have to make a minimum of 50 and you can't make more than 60,600. These numbers can be found on our website at houstonhabitat.org as well. If you ever need to look back or after this meeting, you want to make sure that you are in that threshold. Another example, if you are a single applicant, only one person in your household, you have to make at least 50,000 as well, but you cannot go over $53,000. So when looking at this chart, just keep in mind of your specific family size, and that is, the max that you cannot go over. Hope that makes sense. You have to have a steady income. Oh, please go back. Oh, yeah, you're fine. You have to have a steady income. All right. You have to be able to afford your mortgage, pay your bills, debt if you have that. No more than 33% of your monthly income can go towards your housing payment. Right? No excessive debt. And then you do have to have a satisfactory credit score. I know questions will probably come in about what credit score do you need. One thing we like to tell applicants, if your credit score isn't where it needs to be yet, but you're actively working on it, we do encourage you to still apply. As I mentioned earlier, we have 3 credit counselors in-house, and we will work with you on your credit and help you get that credit score to where it needs to be before closing. All right, thank you. So now we're going to jump into sweat equity. As I mentioned earlier, a big part of being in our program is your willingness to partner and completing your sweat equity hours. So for single applicants, you are going to be required to complete 200 hours of sweat equity throughout the program. And what I mean by single applicant, I mean you're not applying with a co-applicant. Now, if you are applying with a co-applicant, you're going to be required to complete 250 hours of sweat equity. And that breakdown looks like 50 hours of financial education. These will be Zoom classes, maybe some in-person classes where you will learn things about saving, budgeting, creating a will, everything you need to know, like I said, to help you become a responsible homeowner. You will be completing 100 hours of construction. And the good thing is your family and friends can assist you with your construction hours. And then you will spend 50 hours volunteering at our restore or our community garden. And this is going to be our pay it forward area. So just to break that down again, you are going to be required to complete 50 hours of financial education. And this is both for the applicant and co-applicant. So if you're applying, with a co-applicant, you both have to complete the 50 hours of education. For construction, it is going to be 100 hours required. Good thing is your family and friends can assist you with construction hours, so that's always a plus. And then for paying it forward, you're going to be required to do those 50 hours at our restore and sometimes at our community garden. And your family and friends can help you with the restore paying it forward hours as well. The only thing that you cannot get help with is going to be your financial education hours because you are the homeowner and you need that information. Okay? And also note that accommodations can be made if you're unable to perform, some of the construction hours or the responsibilities at the restore. We do make accommodations, right? So now you know a little bit more about our home ownership program. You may be wondering if you qualify. So the step that you need to take to see if you qualify for our program is going to our website at houstonhabitat.org, and you're going to take our eligibility quiz. The quiz is available in English or Spanish, and you need to dedicate at least 15 to 20 minutes to complete this quiz. Again, it can be found at houstonhabitat.org. When completing this quiz, please be honest because let's say you take the eligibility quiz, it's going to ask you very specific questions to see if you're eligible for our program. So for instance, if you know that you make, I don't know, $36,000 a year, you pretty much already know that, you're not meeting that basic requirement. If you put that you make 50,000 in the system and it, tells you that you're eligible for the program, whenever you're applying and doing the actual application, you are going to have to provide documentation. So just to not waste your time, just be honest when taking the eligibility quiz. And if you're not eligible and you want to know how you can work towards being eligible, please feel free to reach out and we are more than happy to work with you, whether that be with credit, and figuring out how we can get you in the program. But again, the first step that you must take is going to our website, houstonhabitat.org, and taking that eligibility quiz. Next. All right. So where do we build? We build over on North Houston. So we have Avenue Park, Northeast Houston, Robbins Landing, Central Houston, we have Third Ward. South Houston, there's Kennedy Heights and Cullen Boulevard. Southwest Houston, we have South Post Oak and Anderson. And again, I do want to hit on the fact that when you're in the program, a part of the willingness to partner is purchasing a home where we build. When you start the program, we will ask, where you work, where you live, just to see, maybe what your preference is. But keep in mind that, I don't know, if you tell us you only want to live on South Post Oak, this may not be the program for you, because if we only have homes available in Kennedy Heights for you at the time, then you would purchase that home in Kennedy Heights. So just want you to keep that in mind when moving forward. All right, so a little about our homes. We do build 2, 3, or 4 bedrooms, and they will have 2 bathrooms. They range from 950 to 1,400 square feet. Do have garages available, range in refrigerator, fenced in backyards, energy efficient, which keeps utility bills low. And again, that's definitely a plus here in Houston, Texas. Next. All right, so what determines the price of a home? And this is even if you're purchasing on your own or through Houston Habitat, these things will determine the price of your home. So the location, square footage, the number of bedrooms, the conditions and age of the house, market conditions, and of course the amenities, right? So I know I've given you a lot of information. You may be wondering what next steps are. The first step, of course, is going to be to take that eligibility quiz. Another thing I want to say about the quiz, I've seen people, try to take the quiz maybe 5, 6, 7, 8 times until they're eligible. The system's not going to let you move forward with the application in that aspect. So again, be honest when you take that quiz, so you'll know if you're eligible for the program. And then you want to gather your documents, and then you have to prepare to apply. So we're about to go over the documents that are needed whenever you apply for the program. My advice is to make sure that you have all of these documents before applying, so you don't have any issues with, the next steps. All right, so for identification, you are going to need, for the applicant and co-applicant, you're going to need your state ID or driver's license and your social security card. If you do not have your social security card or this ID, I do highly recommend getting it before applying, okay? For all household members, we're going to need birth certificates or permanent resident card or the naturalization certificate. All right, we do we're going to do an income verification. So we're going to need 2 months of your current pay stubs for each person in the household. We're going to need your last 2 years for W-2 forms for each person in the house 18 or older that is working. And then if you if you receive child support, we are going to need that verification of the child support. Okay? Taxes. We're going to need your last 2 years of tax returns, for applicant, co-applicant, anyone over 18 in the home who is working. If you are self-employed, include 3 years of returns along with that Schedule C. And if you are self-employed and have filed taxes, then you know the Schedule C that you're going to need. Next. For supplemental income, if you receive child support, we will need those documents, that verification. We're going to need the alimony document verification, Social Security income, the disability statement we're going to need, and then retirement or pension we will need as well. For marital status, I have to really read this one. So if you are married, per state of Texas property laws, lawfully married applicants must apply with their spouse as co-applicants. If you are separated, according to Texas, you are still married and your spouse will be included as a co-applicant. I've seen this happen before, and if you are married, please do not try to hide that, or because it will come out during the process of the application. You do not want to start the program and then it comes up that you're married and then you no longer can move forward. So if you're not legally divorced as of yet and you don't want your separated spouse to be included in your application, you should wait until you have that legally done. All right? And if you are divorced, we will need that divorce decree. And if you are widowed, we are going to need that death certificate. All right. I know that was a lot of information, but we're always here to answer questions and help you, gather those documents and make sure you have everything. So the next step, you want to go ahead and take the eligibility quiz. You want to prepare to apply, gather all of your documents, and then you're going to look for an email with a link to your application. So again, once you take the eligibility quiz and it shows that you're eligible for the program, you will receive a link with the application to apply. If you need help applying, please contact our staff at 713-671-9993. The extension is 287. Or you can email us, familyservices@houstonhabitat.org. We no longer accept paper applications, so make sure you do the eligibility quiz, and then you will receive a link to complete the application. Thank you so much for learning a little bit more about our program.
I've been here going on 2 years now. Let's go lay on the couch. You want to hang out? Okay, buddy. So we can hang out with us. You want to watch Curious George? I have 3 boys, 18, 17, and 13. And what was really important to me with Houston Habitat was having a home that I was able to accommodate all my kids' needs. My first time buying a home was through Houston Habitat. When I applied, I was told that it would take up to a year. I was determined to get into an affordable home. I completed the program in 3 months. My favorite day was the dedication ceremony, being able to have all my family here, everybody being able to see who was here for the builds. It was very special. I had the kids here with me. We got to see the house all together for the first time. Them being able to say, hey, this is my room, or this is the one that I'm picking. Some of my favorite things about owning my own home is being able to paint, being able to hang up things, and spend time together in the yard. Having our pets, we don't have to worry about any kind of limitations. Junior is the youngest. He's 13 years old. He has a terminal condition. He's my kiddo that keeps me on my toes. At our previous location, the bathroom was very tight. The space was tight. We had difficulty getting him in the shower. To be able to have those ADA accommodations already built in the home, that was really nice because his wheelchair just went perfectly right in. Just felt like everything was right. Junior, are you enjoying this walk? Yeah, I'm enjoying it too, my love. Habitat for Humanity has changed my kids' lives by us being able to have a home that we can call ours.
If you're just joining us, a reminder that if you need Spanish translation, please select the language option now. If you missed the prior session or need to leave the conference, all the presentations will be available on our website at houstonhabitat.org/VHF.
Si acaba de unirse a la conferencia, le recordamos que si necesita traducción en español, seleccione su opción de idioma en este momento. Si se perdió la sesión anterior o necesita salirse de la conferencia, todas las presentaciones estarán disponibles en nuestro sitio de web en houstonhabitat.org/VHF.
We know that for many of you, your credit score may be a potential barrier to becoming a homeowner. Sylvia Villalpando, Associate Director of Homeowner Services at Houston Habitat for Humanity, will explain why you need good credit to be a homeowner and how to get your finances together to buy a home. Welcome, Sylvia.
Thank you, Cassandra. Like Cassandra said, my name is Sylvia Villalpando. I am the Homeowner Services Associate Director at Houston Habitat for Humanity. And today I will be covering credit and credit score importance. In my experience, credit is the most common barrier I see when it comes to home buying. It keeps many families from having and owning their own home, a safe and secure home. The best way to overcome this barrier is by understanding credit. Once you understand credit, you have the knowledge to form a plan and make changes as necessary to move forward into your journey of becoming a homeowner. Next slide. So we're going to start today with credit score calculation and spend most of our time here because it is extremely important for you to understand how your credit is calculated and how it's affected in order to use it properly and to your benefit. For starters, your credit score is based on an algorithm. There is more than one type of credit score. The most commonly used one here in the United States is the FICO score. And as I mentioned, there are other scoring systems based on algorithms, but this is the one that we're most familiar with. Your score is calculated using 5 categories. The first one is payment history, which is the most impactful of the 5, and it makes up 35% of your credit. This is the first thing that lenders are going to look at when they're trying to determine if you are a responsible borrower and have paid your accounts on time. This also helps the lender determine if there is a risk in extending this credit to you as a borrower, because making payments on time shows that you have the ability to pay back what you are borrowing from them. And it also shows that you are able to follow any terms and conditions that they set for you. So this is extremely important that you are paying on time. You have to make sure that you're not allowing the grace period to take advantage of paying late, because what happens if you are paying late, what then they're going to do is give you a late fee. So it is going to become harder and harder for you to pay that debt, because now on top of making your payment, you're also going to owe a fee, a late fee, and they are going to charge you interest for that late fee as well. And it's also important to keep in mind that although it takes 30 days for your account to become past due and be flagged to your credit report, that late fee is going to be compiled on top of what you are owing. Late fees and late payments do stay on your credit report for 7 years. And although it does only affect your credit little by little over time, if ignored, this can become a bigger issue. If you ignore a late payment, it can become collection, a charge off. It can even turn into a bankruptcy or a foreclosure if it's a house payment. Then second, we have capacity. Capacity is the amounts that you owe. It also insinuates how much credit you have used of the credit limit that was given to you. This makes up 30% of your credit score, being in second place of what makes up your credit score. If you're using too much of the amount that you were given, it's showing and insinuating that you are overextending yourself, meaning you're possibly borrowing more money than you can pay back. And this is a red flag for lenders because they want to make sure that you're not at risk to default. As a rule of thumb, you should always pay on time and never use more than 30% of your credit limit. For example, if you have a credit card limit of $1,000, you want to make sure that you're not utilizing more than $300 of that credit card. Just because you have $1,000 of credit doesn't mean you should be using them. If you use more than 30% of that credit limit, it will affect your credit score instead of helping it. So it's always a good rule of thumb to not use more than 30% of that credit limit. Also, just try to make the payment of what your balance is before the payment is due, because if you don't carry that over to the next month, then you won't be paying any interest on it. Anytime you carry an amount over to the next month, you will be paying interest on it. Then in third place, we have length of credit, which is your length of your credit history, and it makes up 15% of your credit score. So it's kind of like fine wine. The older the length of your credit history is, the better. The age of your oldest credit account and the age of your newest credit account has a lot to do with your credit score. So a lot of times we hear families and applicants say, well, I have an old credit card. Can I close it? We advise that you do not, because although you may not be using that old credit card, it being maybe the oldest or an old credit card, it is actually helping you and it's helping your credit. When you cancel it and you close it out, what it does, it essentially deletes and erases the whole history of that credit card. So if you receive credit and you build your credit based on the card that you've had for a year or for 3 years, you're basically deleting all the history that you've worked so hard on to gain and receive that credit with that credit card. So it's just best, if you're not using it, cut it up, throw it away, but just keep it open. Do not close it. It is a very common question that we receive. Then we have a mix of credit. So this refers to the different types of credit that could be granted to you, and this makes up 10% of your credit score. So we have different types of credit that can be granted to you. So we have revolving accounts, which allows you an access of credit line that can be repeatedly used with a predetermined limit and a payment based on what you owe. This is usually something that you will see like with credit cards, retail store cards. Then we also have an installment credit loan, which consists of a lump sum of money that you're borrowing and paying back with terms and agreements. And this could be, for example, an auto loan or a personal loan as well. And then these will have a fixed amount that you have to pay each month. Finally, we have new credit. So new credit is very important. It makes up 10% of your credit score. And what this covers are inquiries that go to your credit report when you request credit. So when you're requesting any type of credit, whether it be a store, for a car, for a credit card, this is what this is going to cover. And it's really important to know that although you do need to have some kind of credit account to build your credit, you don't want to have too many inquiries on your credit account either. So typically those credit inquiries are called hard inquiries, and they start on your credit report for typically 2 years or so. And it can affect your credit score if you are applying for too many credit, because what it's going to do is you're going to have a lot of hard inquiries that are going against your account. And typically, lenders and people that are extending that credit don't want to see more than two a year, meaning do not apply for more than two credit accounts per year, because it will be hurting your credit. So don't fall for those little advertisements when you go into the retail stores where they tell you, well, if you sign up for the credit card today, you'll get $30 off, because although you may get $30 off on your next purchase, you're also going to be getting a hard inquiry on your credit report. So it may not necessarily be helping you. And I know it's very tempting, but it's very important to do everything you can to treat your credit and take care of it responsibly. Next slide. Then I would like to go over the three credit bureaus. So there are three credit bureaus that are also known as credit reporting agencies. First, we have Experian, we have Equifax, and we have TransUnion. These credit bureaus collect your information and they use it to calculate your score. Although there are three different credit bureaus, a lot of times you'll hear that lenders go based on your average credit score. What they do is they average the three of these scores, because each credit bureau does have different accounts that are being reported. Mostly all credit accounts are reported to one or all of the credit bureaus, but there are times where if you have a credit card at a retail store, they may only be reporting to one or two. So that's why you will see sometimes when you do look at your credit, the credit scores for the three credit bureaus are and can be different. So it's really important to know that most lenders do use the average of the three. Next slide. Which brings me to my next slide. It's very crucial for you to review your credit at least once a year, because you're essentially being graded on what's on your credit report. It's extremely important to know what's on your credit report. It could be that you have identity theft on your credit report. Maybe somebody else used your account or used your name, or maybe a mix up in a number that it could be reporting to your credit report. If you see it, you can dispute it. If you know what's on and stay informed of what's on your credit report, you can take action to fix these errors. So it's extremely important to know what's on your credit report. So you do get one free credit report a year, and you can get your free credit report at www.annualcreditreport.com. You can also get a free credit report at www.freecreditreport.com. Again, we also have two other ways for you to get your credit reports through the credit bureaus. A lot of times they offer one free one a year as well. So on the Experian app, you can see your credit as well, your credit report with Experian, and then with Equifax as well. So what you want to look for are any mistakes in your credit report, whether it be you don't recognize the accounts, whether it be the balance is off, or maybe something you paid off and is still showing as owed. You want to make sure that you dispute anything straight and directly with the credit bureau. So if you see something wrong, you call the credit bureau and you handle it immediately, because the sooner you stay on top of it, the sooner they can fix it. Next slide. Now, there are ways that you can improve your credit score. Whether you have a low credit score, you need to fix something on your credit score, or you have no credit at all and you want to establish a credit. First, we have a secured credit card. So a secured credit card is something that we always refer our families to, because it's an extremely great thing that you can use, especially for those that have no credit at all. What a secured credit card is essentially you are backing your credit with your own money. So for example, what you're gonna do is you take some of your own money, let's say $300 or $500, depending on what you want your credit limit to be, and you're gonna be borrowing that money from yourself each month and not using more than 30% a month, paying on time, as we spoke earlier today. And also what you can do is make payments like on something small, like put that credit card maybe on your Netflix account and just pay it on time each month. And what you're going to do is over time, They will give you a bigger credit limit. And over time, if you use that credit card responsibly, that credit card will go from being a secured credit card with your own money to being an actual credit card that you're borrowing credit from a bank, depending who you applied with. Then we also have Experian Boost. Experian Boost is a great tool to boost your credit score. So it is only going to affect and make a difference in your Experian score with the Experian Credit Bureau. However, remember, we're looking at the average. So if that Experian score goes up a little bit, your average will also go up. So that's a very good thing. So with Experian Boost, you make an account online and you're going to link all your month-to-month payments that you make to that account. So anything you're paying with your card, like your bank card, what you're going to do is you're going to link it to that account and you're going to receive credit for things that you don't normally receive credit for. For example, if you're paying your phone bill, your utility bills, whether it be your lights, your water, your gas bill, you can also put your Netflix account on there. So as long as you pay on time and responsibly, what Experian is going to do is they're going to report that to the credit bureau and it's going to reflect on your credit. So you're going to be receiving credit for items that don't normally report as credit. So as long as you pay on time, this will help you. And it's extremely important to improve or get credit. You have to make payments on time. It is the thing that affects your credit the most. If you default, if you fail to make a payment on time, it will hurt your credit. So the number one thing top of mind should be making payments on time. Then you also want to avoid applying for too many new credit accounts. They are hard inquiries. They are going to hurt you. Do not close old accounts. If you have them there, you're not using them, let's just leave them alone, act like they don't exist because they're actually helping you. And you want to be extremely careful with authorized users and joint accounts. So with authorized users and joint accounts, it is a great tool that can help somebody gain credit and also help you gain credit. However, if you don't use it responsibly, it will hurt you very much. So any account that's under your name, you have to use responsibly, because if you're an authorized user on somebody else's account and they don't pay on time or they're defaulting on anything, it's going to hurt your credit. Your name and your account is still associated to that account. So it's really important to be extremely careful when it comes to authorized users and joint accounts. Next slide. Now we're moving on to debt to income ratio. So our debt to income ratio is one of the ways that lenders see and check the overall health of our finances. It's going to measure the ability to manage monthly payments that you are borrowing the money and you can repay it. So for example, this will show how much of your income will be dedicated to a mortgage payment and prove that you can actually afford that mortgage payment. And then an example of the front end ratio, also known as housing ratio or mortgage to income ratio, will show the percentage of your income that is going to go towards your housing expenses, so your mortgage payment. And the front end ratio is also calculated by dividing your anticipated monthly mortgage, so an estimated monthly mortgage, by your gross monthly income, so what you make before taxes each month. The front ratio is also going to anticipate mortgage payment, mortgage loan, property taxes, insurance, and HOA. Lenders typically are going to use this ratio and they have different tolerances. So depending on where you go, they may have different tolerances for the front end ratio. With Houston Habitat, for example, the front end ratio should be no more than 33% of your monthly gross income. And that means because if it's over 33%, you would be cost burdened, meaning you wouldn't be able to pay and live comfortably. You may be living check to check. So we do not want that. So our front end ratio is no more than 33% of your monthly income. Now your back end ratio compares how much of your income is needed to cover all of your monthly debts, including that mortgage payment. So the difference between the two is this is going to include anything you pay month to month, so all debt. And it's going to typically include anything that comes out on your credit report, any loans, any credit cards, student loans, those type of things, along with your house payment. And it's going to compare how much you owe each month to how much you earn. This is going to be calculated by dividing your total monthly debt by your gross monthly income and multiplying by 100. This is not going to include monthly expenses such as food, utilities, transportation, or health expenses. It does include credit cards reported on your credit account, car loans, personal loans, and your mortgage. Generally, the tolerance ratio for back-end ratio is 43%, but it can differ from lender to lender or program to program, meaning no more than 43% of your monthly gross income can go towards the total amount of your mortgage payment plus your monthly debts. Next. Now, I do want to inform you, I know Monica mentioned it earlier, but we want to mention it again. Houston Habitat does have certified credit counselors on staff that can assist you with credit counseling. Please do not hesitate to reach out to us. We are excited and willing to help you. We want to make sure that if you have any questions, any doubts, I know that credit can be very confusing. We are professionals. We can help you understand it and also make a difference in you improving or establishing credit. So we do have Cassandra Robinson Bacon, our Director of Homeowner Services. We have myself, Sylvia Villalpando, Associate Director of Homeowner Services, and Monica Tutt, our Homeowner Services Specialist. We are all credit counselor certified, and you can contact us to make one-on-one appointments. You can email us at familyservices@houstonhabitat.org. You can call us at 713-671-9993, or you can visit us in person to make an appointment as well at 3750 North McCarty Street, Houston, Texas 77029. Now, we would like to take this time to answer any questions you may have concerning this presentation or any credit inquiries. If you can please use the chat feature at this time so that we could answer any questions.
Sylvia, there is one question that says, what is the fee for the credit counseling service?
So we actually don't have a fee. It is absolutely free. So please come on in, make an appointment with us so we can help you. So I don't see any other questions, but please feel free even throughout the rest of the presentation and the conference to enter your questions in the chat and we can answer them. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Sylvia, for sharing all that you know about credit. Based on our experience working with clients with their applications, we know that credit is typically the top of mind for many people. Another popular topic for many of our prospective homeowners is the availability of down payment assistance programs. Once again, a reminder that if you're just joining us and would like a Spanish translation, please select your language option now. If you missed a prior session or need to leave the conference, all the presentations will be available on our website at houstonhabitat.org/VHF.
Una vez más, le recordamos que si se acaba de unir a la conferencia y desea traducción en español, seleccione su opción de idioma en este momento. Si se ha perdido alguna sesión anterior o necesita salirse de la conferencia, todas las presentaciones estarán disponibles en nuestro sitio web en houstonhabitat.org/VHF.
Okay. And we actually we received two more questions on credit, so I'll ask for Sylvia to answer those. The first one says, how long does credit repair take?
So that's a really good question. It's going to completely depend on your situation. So depending on what the issue is on your credit, it could be something as simple as making a dispute on your credit account, sending out a letter, and then just waiting for that response. Or it could mean that we create a plan and help you create a plan on how to pay off your debt. So that, depending on the amount of debt, is going to really rely on what the issue is on your credit.
Okay. And our next question, it says, this person actually wants an application link to be emailed to them after the presentation. I'm not sure if the question is about the presentation being emailed or a link to the presentation or about actually applying. But if you can just maybe answer the question about how can a person apply with Houston Habitat?
Absolutely. So to apply with Houston Habitat, first you must go onto our website, which is houstonhabitat.org, and you have to take the eligibility quiz. So the eligibility quiz is going to save you so much time and give you an idea of what we're going to be looking for. You will need to enter how many people are in your household, the household information, and your income. So it's going to see if you're a good fit for our program. So that's going to be the very first step. And then from there, if you are eligible, you will receive next steps emails with whatever email you entered. So the first step is taking that quiz.
Okay, and one final question before we move on to the next topic. For sweat equity, what is the age limit for kids to help? This is something that was covered in the sweat equity component of our homeownership program. Maybe you can answer that as well.
Yes, so if you are bringing kids in, you can, as long as they are 16 years of age or older. Now, they will have to sign a waiver and they cannot use power tools. However, 17 years of age or older are all free to use power tools and are welcome. So to answer the answer more direct, 16 or older.
Thank you so much, Sylvia. Okay, I think that's it for the questions right now in the chat. We did want to pause and answer those questions for you that you had. So now let's talk about down payment assistance programs. So here in Houston, there are several down payment assistance programs that are available. So again, I will be presenting this information about the options that are available with Houston Habitat for Humanity's homeownership program. Next slide, please. And again, if you have any questions that are related to the DPA, and you'll hear me mention it and refer to it as DPA, and what I mean by that is just down payment assistance. So if you do have any questions that are related to this, please just put those questions either in the chat or in the Q&A section on your screen. And those answers will be answered at the end of this presentation. Next slide. So the first question is, what is a down payment? So a down payment represents a portion of the total purchase of your home. And the buyer will basically take out a loan to refinance the difference of that down payment. So for instance, if you have a home that you want to purchase and the home is $250,000 and you put down, let's say 10%. So the amount that you put down as a down payment would be $2,500. I'm sorry, $25,000 as a down payment. And then your mortgage payment will be the difference. So the sales price less the down payment equals what your mortgage payment is based on. Okay. Down payment assistance actually helps to make your mortgage payments more affordable, because what it does is it actually reduces the amount of the loan from the sales price. Next slide, please. So the City of Houston is one of the down payment assistance programs that we work with. We call it a HAP program. It's a home buyer assistance program. Next, we also work with and receive funds from the Federal Home Loan Bank of Dallas through their HELP grant. There's the individual development account, which is also better known as an IDA account, as well as we have very generous donors that donate specifically to Houston Habitat. Next slide, please. So the City of Houston's assistance program comes at the moment, their program is up to $50,000. Right now, they are in the plans of increasing that amount. We're waiting on the final release or launch date of their new program, but at the moment, the program is up to $50,000. And I want to make sure I stress that it's up to $50,000 because it is based on affordability. If a person who has higher income, the amount of the subsidy from the city will not be that whole $50,000. Compared to a person who has lower income, they may receive the full award of the $50,000. Additionally, just as our program, you have to be at or below 80% of the Houston area median income range. So does the city's assistance program as well. For this program, you do have to be a first-time home buyer. And the way that first-time home ownership or first-time home buyer is defined is that you have not owned a home in the last 3 years, or you have not had a home in your name in the last 3 years. And also for additional information about the specifics of the City of Houston Assistance Program, we do have their website here on the screen, which is houstontx.gov/housing/HAP, and that's HAP for Housing Assistance Program. Next slide, please. So the Federal Home Loan Bank of Dallas has a program or grant program called the HELP Grant. And what this is a flat $25,000 grant. It too is also for first-time home buyers. Additionally, same as our Houston Habitat program and for the city, it is for individuals that are at or below 80% of the Houston area median income. Additionally, this grant does come with a 5-year retention period or 5-year lien, which means that if at any point, if you need to move from the home before the end of the 5 years, then you would have to pay back a portion of the $25,000 funds. However, if you remain in the home 5 years or more, then that amount is completely forgiven. It's just a free $25,000. Okay. That is a program also that Houston Habitat applies for our families on behalf of the families and on behalf of the buyers. So it's actually, and it's also in partnership with the member bank that works with Federal Home Loan Bank of Dallas. Our member bank that we work with and that facilitates these grants for us is Home Bank, which is actually their home offices are located in Louisiana, but they are do have some offices here in the Houston area as well. Next slide, please. So IDA matching savings, we will get a very in-depth presentation on Covenant Community Capital a little bit later in our presentation today, but I did want to highlight them as one of the down payment assistance programs that are available for home buyers. So working with Covenant Community Capital, the buyer will save $2,500 of their own funds by making consecutive deposits into a specific savings account. Working with Covenant Community Capital, they will give you opportunities to earn benchmark awards that can go up to $5,000. For additional information about Covenant Community Capital's savings match program, their website is listed here on the screen at www.covenantcapital.com. But again, we will have a much deeper dive into Covenant Community Capital's program a little bit later in our program. So hold tight to get that more in-depth information from them. Last slide. And one other thing I want to mention too is that we do have, and I mentioned this on the first slide, we do have very, very generous donors that donate to Houston Habitat for Humanity specifically, and they specifically designate their donations for down payment assistance. So with those donors, we're so grateful for their commitment to the Houston Habitat for Humanity and to affordable homeownership. So we do have individuals that donate funds and say, okay, I want my donation to go specifically to veterans, or to go specifically for seniors, or to go generically for any home buyer that has a need for down payment assistance. So that's also an option of down payment assistance when you're working with Houston Habitat for Humanity. Again, if there are any questions that you may have, please utilize the chat feature that can be accessed at the bottom of your screen. Also, there's the Q&A button as well if you need to ask any questions there. Are there any questions that we need to have? Okay, yes, this is a very long one. Okay, if you don't mind, we're going to hold this one question to the very end, if you don't mind, and then we'll gather exactly what you need, or maybe better to even type the answer out to your question. So we do appreciate the question, and we will get your answer for this. Okay. So I know that I have covered a lot of ground, and now we're going to hear from another one of our successful homeowners.
We've been here for 1 year and 2 months. We've enjoyed this year. It's been a good year. We went from living in a public housing apartments. My daughter Leah, she's 7. She didn't have her own room. Now she can come home, she has her own space. She gets to have her own room, and she could close her door and maybe decompress from school. Even though she's 7, you know, sometimes they need time to themselves. I feel like it had a very positive impact on her life. I graduated in 2009, and I went to Texas Southern University. And my sophomore year, I met Margot. She had this really nice apartment, and I was like, man, how can you afford this and you're a college student? She's like, because I'm in the National Guard, I'm in reserve. And I was like, this sounds like something I need to do. That summer of 2011, I sworn in. It was the best decision I ever made. I did 8 years with one tour to Kuwait and Dubai. I was 2 years out of the military. I was working for a leasing agency for public housing apartments, and I overheard residents talk about Houston Habitat. And I did the short little application to see if I pre-qualified, and I did. Now I'm here. I only had to do 50 of the sweat equity hours because I'm a veteran. They feel like you didn't put in enough physical labor. I got all my appliances for free. So my refrigerator, microwave, stove, and washer and dryer were all placed in my home, and all stainless steel, which is awesome. So I was very honored, and I appreciate that so much. I have something that I can leave my daughter behind, something that she can pass on to her children and her children, something that has value. So if she needs money for start her own business or collateral for something, she has it. It's like a stepping stone into me building generational wealth for my small family. This show that there are people that want more, but we just need a little help. Owning a home is not unattainable. You can do it, despite any odds you have in front of you.
We have covered a lot of ground today, and it's a lot to absorb. Don't forget that Houston Habitat is here to be your partner in the journey. For our final session, we're going to focus on the financial preparation you need to take to become a homeowner. First, we are pleased to welcome Leanne Mitchell, mortgage loan originator with Veritex Community Bank, to explain the basics of what you need to do to secure a mortgage. Welcome, Leanne.
Thanks, ladies. What a great presentation so far. You guys, especially Sylvia, her credit
Leanne,
presentation
you're
was
on mute.
Okay, I don't show to be on mute.
There you are.
Oh, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you now.
Okay, I'm so sorry. Thank you guys so much. What a fabulous presentation so far. And Sylvia's dive into the credit was spot on. That's part of what I'm going to touch on too. So we can start out by basically my portion is going to consist of what we as lenders and banks actually look for, documentation, et cetera. So next slide. So these are just some of the bullet points that we as lenders, and by the way, I've been doing mortgages in the Houston area for over 38 years. So it's pretty much all I've ever known or done. So, I'd like to think I have a lot of experience in this. And so the biggest things are some of these bullet points here, which we look for stable income. Ideally, we like for you to have a 2-year history in your same line of work or business. Now, obviously, we have some college kids that are graduating and getting out of college. We can 100% help them. We typically would just get a copy of their college transcripts showing that is what, they are getting a job as an engineer or an accountant or marketing or something like that. Also, same thing with our medical professionals, as well as our law school students. Those things all kind of have to avoid, I should say, the 2-year history, but we like a continuation of at least 2 years. In fact, that 2-year and the rule of 2 is going to show up in these slides pretty often. The other biggest thing is maintaining a good credit and debt ratio history. We do typically like to see 3 trade lines. They don't necessarily have to be active trade lines. And it was also pointed out earlier, we can actually do what's called alternative credit, such as your cell phone bill, your rent, if you're currently renting, your insurance payment with State Farm or Allstate. Those can all be added onto your credit to count as these trade lines. Obviously, we do not want to see any late payments in 2 years, and in particular, late payments with your installment debt, such as a car payment or furniture or appliances or anything that's considered an installment debt. This can be extremely detrimental to your credit and can take quite a while for it to kind of fade off of there to be able to not be a problem. We also have the ability to use some credit wizard items, and I'm very good about saying, hey, this is what we have, these little modules we can run for you to say, this is what you need to do, which it can be tying into the next point, avoiding high credit card usage. And so say you have 3 credit cards that have $5,000 credit line on them. If all 3 of those credit cards are maxed out, that's going to be detrimental to your credit. We really like to see those credit card balances below a 50%, what we call usage. So try to, having the credit card is awesome. Just don't max it out. And I would recommend kind of starting to get your credit in order, even up to like 6 months ahead of time. I would also encourage you to limit applications for new credit lines to reduce inquiries that can negatively affect your credit scores. So just like it was brought out earlier, you're in, Kohl's, and they say, if you get you'll get 10 or 20% off if you get a credit card. All those things start to become inquiries, which do ding your credit report pretty significantly, especially if there's more than 2 or 3 of those. So I would highly avoid anything of that nature for even up to a year if possible. The credit journey is definitely a process. And also, guys, please refrain from purchasing new cars, furniture, big hit ticket items before applying for any new credit. And I would avoid applying as an authorized user on someone's credit, because that does, or as a cosigner, they do show up on your credit, and we would have to have an explanation. And even if we have the ability to show that the other person is actually paying that, which we can do, it still affects your credit. So I definitely would advise staying away from that. Now, a little bit along these lines of credit, each of our loan products, which we do here at Veritex Community Bank, offer all loan products. We have conventional loans, we have FHA loans, and we have VA loans. So we do have the ability to do all the loans. All of them kind of have sweet spots to where their credit scores are. 620 is kind of a minimum credit score, which it's that tri-merge that was kind of pointed out a little bit earlier in the presentation. 620 is a minimum, in particular for our government loans, like the FHA and VA. Once you get into a conventional or a more traditional mortgage, really ideally those need to be 680 or even 720 is going to get you the best rate. So that's the other thing, is all of our interest rates for any of these mortgages I'm talking about, they are driven by credit score. That is the biggest factor in telling you what your rate is going to be. So really, the better the credit score, quite frankly, you'll see a pretty significant difference in terms of maybe even upwards of 0.25% differential in someone who has very good scores versus somebody who has what I would just call medium to average scores. So that is something that you definitely want to keep in check. So next slide. So these are some of the big bullet points that we look at in terms of when you are applying for the loan and getting your documents, gathered together. I believe it was also brought out earlier. I would start to make a little PDF file or zip file or Dropbox file and kind of just keep all of these items in there. It's super helpful to me as a lender and to all of us as lenders, because we really do need all of this to give you a clear picture. And the first category is your assets. Assets for closing are extremely important. Here comes the 2 rule again. 2 months of your most recent, or even quarterly. Some of your retirement or your money market or savings accounts are quarterly. So just make sure we have the most recent 2 months or the most recent quarterly. I would encourage you to provide us with all assets you have, checking, savings, your 401k, all of those things count towards, your reserves and just the overall financial picture, having the ability to, if something were to happen to you, um, the retirement accounts and investments accounts, they can be accessed. So it is best to provide all of that. Now, guys, this is something I see a lot. And we as lenders, we do look at your bank statements. So if we see money going in and out and moving all around, which is not uncommon, but just be sure that I'm going to see it and I'm going to need it documented. And I encourage all of you guys, when you are working with us as lenders, just talk to us, because I can tell you in my 38-year career, I have truly seen every single situation that you're probably gonna put in front of me. So just talk to us. I'll tell you how I want you to fix it or how I want to fix it. It's super easy, but sometimes if you get too far into the process, it's hard to go backwards. So please just always talk to us. We're here to help you. That's why we do what we do, is getting you guys in your home. It's what gives me the most joy. So just talk to us. And in particular, when it comes to the gift department, we do allow gifts from family members or fiancés or significant people in your life. We do allow you to have those gift letters. We just have to properly document them. So tell us up front, hey, my mom and dad or my grandparents, or they're giving us $10,000 to purchase our new home. Just tell us. We have a formal gift form that we send you guys to fill out, and it does get filled out by yourself and by the person that you are getting the gift from. And what I like to do is, the easiest route to verify gift funds is just to have your donor. It can be wired or sent directly to title. And really, that's the safest and best way for me to document, because title can give me all that information. But again, just really just talk to your lender about it. We can help you sort through any of that gift documentation. And I want to go back, and I do apologize. When it comes to retirement accounts, you are allowed for a first-time home purchase without being taxed to be able to pull out some down payment money for that. So just also make sure that if you are going to be taking a distribution from your retirement, such as a 401k, just also let us know about that too. That's easily documented. It gets done all the time. So I apologize. I should have done that a minute ago. Sorry about that. But so next slide. So what we've got here too is your pay stub. So here comes the two again. So we need your last two pay stubs. If you're self-employed and things like that, obviously those are going to require full-fledged tax returns, as well as income statements and balance sheets. That's a subject I'm going to get to towards the end of this presentation. But we do like to have the last two pay stubs. And when you are providing this with documentation, such as bank statements or tax returns, please, please, please give us all the pages. Because if something says 1 of 9 and maybe one of them could be blank, I get it. We still have to have all the pages, because the document does have to be complete. And be sure that we have all of your W-2s or 1099s or K-1s if you happen to be a partner in a business. We need all things that apply to each applicable year. So just be sure to provide us with all of that information. So if you are self-employed, meaning you are pretty much 100% commissioned, that could mean that you could be getting what's called a 1099, where taxes are not taken out, or you could actually still be commissioned and receive a W-2. So if, for instance, more than 25% of your income comes from commission or a bonus or other type of structure, we will require tax returns. And we do want to see 2 full years of that. This kind of opens up a little bit of a discussion per individual basis. If you are all of a sudden you are a 1099 employee and that company comes to you and goes, you know what, Leanne, we're going to go ahead and give you a W-2. We want you to be an employee, so we're going to start taking taxes out. That's actually a good thing because now you're W-2'd and your taxes are coming out of that. So just make us aware of the time frame because we are looking at 2 years of a situation. So we just need to be able to fill in gaps and answer any questions that our underwriter could be questioning on that. So each type of loan also is going to be a little different in their requirements on this too. So it's going to be on a per loan type basis. And this subject matter is kind of ever evolving. So I'm trying to kind of keep it as simple as I can here. So next slide. So this is if you guys are ready to apply. Most of us lenders do offer an online link, including myself, which I'd be happy to share with anybody at any time. And you would need to, I encourage you to do what's called a pre-approval. The word pre-approval and pre-qualification kind of intertwines with itself. It's, you know, the more documentation that you do provide us, which I do encourage you to give as much as you can, because it's going to give a much clearer picture. But most of the real estate agents that you're working with, they are going to want to have that pre-approval letter, which I have a document that I provide you. If it's a very, I'm just going to say a generic one, but we also can customize it and make it more towards your personal situation. A lot of the real estate agents want actual specifics on there, and that's not a problem. Just, you know, I work with the realtors all the time, and they pretty much tell me what's needed to get you guys, because our goal is to get you in that house. So we want that pre-approval letter to look as good as it can for you guys and be as realistic and honest and open about that pre-approval. So what you would do is you would just go on to the website and make an application. That application, in my case, I get an email notification that I have a client that has applied. So at that point, I will open it and then I will call you guys. I'll call you guys and I will email you and say, hey, I've received your application. Let me know when you're able to get started and we can get going here. So what I would suggest is go through it and take the time. It doesn't take as long as it looks like it is. I mean, obviously we are a bank and we do have little bells and whistles that we have in our application, but just take a minute and fill it out. You'd be surprised. It's going to be extremely helpful to you because it's going to show you kind of what we are looking for as a lender. So just go through each stage and then along with that, most of these applications have the ability to upload documents directly to this application. And that is a secure way to get sensitive documents to us, such as your W-2s, pay stubs, and tax returns and things like that. So that's what I would, you know, if you don't want to do that, we certainly can save those documents for you, but it does have the ability to upload directly and securely to your electronic folder. Next slide. So the next process is you found a home and you've given us, you've provided us with the earnest money contract, and you're ready to get going on a more formal underwriting and obviously closing, because that's the goal, is to get you into the new home. So what you've got is underwriting officially begins. Well, honestly, once I look at it, I'm going to go through it very, very thoroughly along with my loan processor, who kind of helps me and will be kind of moving the file through the different phases. So most of my clients will speak to that staff, the back staff at some point. I'm always your point of contact, however, but they are very critical to me getting your file put together and packaged and a nice, pretty package to go to our underwriting department. So that official underwriting is going to begin once we have all of the required documents we think are necessary for this, which includes credit and any credit explanations that we need, any document that we need in terms of explaining anything that's derogatory or different or just needs explaining on the credit. So that is included. Any income documents such as W-2s, pay stubs, tax returns, income statements and balance sheets if needed for our self-employed borrower. And then also the appraisal that's been ordered. And you guys will receive a copy of that appraisal. We are required to give you an electronic copy of that for your file. And then also title work. The real estate agents, in particular, the listing agents, do pick the title company. And they are required to do a title search. Their job and their role in this is to ensure that you guys, well, that both of us actually have clear title to this property. There's no liens hindered on here. And then a smooth transition from one seller to yourself is there. They're also going to provide any tax certificates that show what your current tax state annual statement is. They're also going to show if you are in what's called a HOA, which stands for Homeowners Association. They're also going to provide all of that. So once all this is sent to our underwriter, a final clear to close is issued. Occasionally, the underwriting team will ask for something. I can't promise you it gets the clear to close on the first pass, but we do our best to try to do that. But once all those conditions are met, we call it a clear to close. And that's when you're good to go. You have been blessed by our underwriting team. And at that point, we're going to move that file to our closing area. This is getting you, one step closer to that home ownership. So we are required as a lender to provide what's called an initial closing statement 3 days before closing. This allows you as borrowers to review the cash to close because you've been given it along the way with some initial documents, but once it gets to closing, that's when everything balances back and forth with title. It would include any earnest money that you paid up front, any lender fees that we're giving you credit for, any seller fees that they're giving you credit for, or anything that you need to get credit for that has been paid up front. That's when these things, and it balances out. And I send that to you guys and we go over it and we make sure that you're aware of your cash to close. Now, like I said, you're going to see this at the beginning as well as at the end. But we like to make sure that you guys do see this, from the start to the finish. And it's really important if something doesn't look right, which occasionally it doesn't, just let me know because, we all kind of sometimes make mistakes. Between my closer and the title company, it's usually pretty spot on, but little things do come into play. And if I can just talk just briefly, there wasn't really a bullet point for this, but the cash to close. So what this actually does consist of is your down payment, your closing cost, and then what's called your escrow, which those are your taxes and insurance that are required to set up the loan for your payment. So that is what goes into that final, what they call that bottom line, what's called a cash to close. So that's what goes into that. Now, obviously, these are just highlighted bullet points of the overall how to apply and what we look for. Obviously, I could dive into a lot of different subject matters, and I'm more than welcome to do that with you guys individually or in the form of some basic questions. But thank you guys so much for your time. And I look forward to partnering with you guys again soon. And please let me know if you guys have any questions. Thanks so much for inviting me today.
Thank you so much, Leanne, for being here. There is one question that I want to see if you could answer for us. And There's one topic that is very top of mind right now, especially that we're in tax season. We have experienced this right now with several of our buyers in which they are W-2 wage earners. However, they also have a small business on the side. So of course, when you're looking at tax preparation versus home ownership, those priorities are different. When we're looking at tax liabilities, our aim and a person's goal is to reduce their tax liability. So of course, if they have this small business, they want to claim every expense that they can in order to reduce that taxable income and even possibly give them a loss on their
Correct.
tax returns in order to lower their tax liability. However, how that differs from home ownership is because that loss can now reduce their affordability. So it will be taken into account where it actually reduces the wages that they earn from their W-2. Can you touch on that a point as far as giving our listeners some tips or some pointers as far as claiming expenses on their tax return as it relates to a small business?
So that's an incredibly great question that does come up a ton. Different products. I'm just going to kind of holistically try to answer that. If you're just going with an FHA loan, a VA loan, and just what I'm going to call a normal conventional loan, most of the time a tax return is not required. So the underwriting we use an automated underwriting system for those particular products. And if that income, so in other words, that those tax returns are not going to even come into play because they're not required for the underwriter. Now, the flip side of that is if you're going into some of our community products that we're all kind of talking about here, tax returns are required. So it is going to show up in that situation. And it can affect if there is a significant loss. Now, it can take away from their income. So I'm not going to say it's not going to ever take away. So it really is going to be product driven. We here at the bank also have a couple of community options available, of which I know Courtney probably has shared with you those. And we do because of the ownership requirement that you guys alluded to with first-time homebuyers and the 3-year rule. So it can come up. It's going to be on a product type basis.
Okay. Thank you for that. I really appreciate you touching on that point.
It's
as
a
I mentioned,
subject
we
that
do
does come up
find
quite
a
a
lot of
bit.
individuals that encounter that because, of course, when we're working with low to moderate income families, a lot of them are obtaining their loans through the community products that are with the banks, not necessarily your traditional conventional loans. So
Now,
so that simply does
FHA
come
and
into
VA
play.
don't really look at that stuff, though, by the way. And FHA is a great tool for your first-time home buyers. So, and there are some other products that we have, even conventionally, that would work for that. It would just be an analyzed basis, kind of on a case-by-case basis, for lack of a better word here.
Okay. Thank you so much for that. This was a very informative presentation, so we really appreciate your time.
I know it's so
I'm
hard
sure there's going to be more
to hit the
questions about
highlights, that's for
mortgages.
sure.
And after our next session, we will answer those questions as we get to them. Still feel free to ask any of your questions in the chat or the Q&A function of the Zoom. Our next session will focus on savings and match program. It's going to be offered by an organization that Houston Habitat works closely with. Our partner is Covenant Community Capital. Please welcome Stephen Fairfield, who is the founder and CEO of Covenant Community Capital. Welcome, Stephen.
Thanks so much, Cassandra. It's a delight to be with you this morning. And we have really enjoyed a long and fruitful relationship with Houston Habitat and so many families who've achieved their dream of home ownership through Habitat's great work in the community. So I'm delighted to be with you this morning and tell you a little bit about Covenant's Individual Development Account Program. So IDAs, next slide, please. So IDAs stand for Individual Development Accounts. So these are special savings accounts that you set up to dedicate for the purpose of emergency savings and savings for periodic major purchases. Things like purchasing your first home, or replacing a vehicle, or buying appliances or electronics, things like that. In the account that you set up, you are free to keep and save in for a lifetime. So we help folks set these accounts up through partners. Our lead partner is Capital One, because they have a savings account that's currently yielding 3.7% interest. And you can set it up online with a zero balance, and then set up a transfer from your existing checking account. Or if you don't have a checking account, you can set one up then as well. And what we do then is match the savings up to $2,000 of your savings in this savings account. And you link it to Covenant's online Vista Share portal, so that we can mark and give you credit for your savings progress in your accounts. Um, and then we have matches of up to $5,000 toward helping you with your down payment and closing costs on your home. And then families that have purchased a home through Covenant's IDA program, then afterward can also receive a match for their children going to post-secondary education. We have a 4-to-1 match of the $1,000 for someone who saves $250 toward higher education expenses. Okay, next slide. Okay, so our program has a 3-year period in which you can realize your goals in a minimum period of 3 months, because we want to see you making actual investments toward your future. And all of the matches that we provide are basically the 12 major benchmarks of a family's financial success. So we want to reward you for taking the steps toward building your family's financial stability. Okay, next slide. And I should mention that if you, at the end of that 3-year period, if you're not ready to buy your home, if you still income qualified, then you can re-enroll for another 3-year period. And there's no time limit at Covenant as long as you are saving toward your goal and are income qualified. We have worked with families for up to 13 years to become homeowners. Okay, so I was mentioning about what an IDA is. It was invented by Michael Sheridan at the Brown School of Social Work at the University of Washington in St. Louis, as a way for families of modest incomes to save and build wealth, just like families do in individual retirement accounts. Next slide. Okay, last year, through our coaching and savings matches, we enabled 55 families who, when they initially enrolled, earned an average of $34,000 to buy their first home. And I should add that we also enabled over 300 families to save an average of $2,800 in emergency savings. Next slide. Okay, so the eligibility is to open a Covenant IDA account that you must be 18 or above and have documented earned income, because our match, the folks that donate match funds to us ask us that we match earned income. You can have disability income or other income like that as well, as long as you have matched income, so we can show that match track. And the household's earned income should be below 80% of median income. That's that same income chart you saw at the beginning of the presentation today, which is the Habitat ceiling, I believe, as well. And likewise with Habitat, that you've not owned a home in the past 3 years. Next slide. Okay, there's that income chart that you saw earlier. This chart is updated by HUD around April or May of each year. So there'll be a new chart with slightly higher incomes coming out shortly. Next slide. Okay, so to enroll in our program, you would connect with Paulina Serrano in our office and on our website. There is a link that can send an email to Paulina saying you would like to open an account together with us. Then I talked there about the $2,000 that we match. Now you can save more than 2,000. There's no limit to how much you can save. We match up to 2,000 of your savings, but we have had clients that have discovered the magic of being able to save. They didn't think that they thought they just could only live paycheck to paycheck, but once they started savings, they were amazed. And incredibly, we have had clients that over a period of years have saved over $100,000 in their IDA savings account. So let the magic of compounding and setting money aside for the future, paying yourself. These are future expenses. This is future spending that you get to do. Think of it that way. And especially now during income tax time is a really great time to set aside savings because as you may know, if you get a refund, you can divide where that refund goes and you can send some of it into a retirement savings account. You can spend and put some of it into an IDA savings account as well as some into your regular checking account. So I hope you're thinking strategically if you're due a refund that you use those dollars to invest in your future or to retire debt and not really blow most of it on new spending. So especially as you're trying to make financial goals by your presence here today on this workshop, think about how you can use those dollars strategically, and also think about using bonuses or overtime that you get and using those funds strategically toward savings for the future, saving for your home, or retiring debt that you have. As well, also consider if you're paid every 2 weeks, then twice a year, you have a third paycheck every month. So see if you can live monthly on those first two checks and then set aside that third paycheck you get twice a year. That's another great strategy that's worked really well for a number of our clients. Okay, so after you enroll, and there are no costs for any of our services, by the way, then Paulina will connect you with an enrollment opportunity for our Assets for a Rich Life workshop. This is a 2.5-hour workshop that I teach monthly. We alternate between Tuesday nights and Saturday mornings to accommodate different work schedules. And then after that, you move on to a home buyer education class. And we partner with another nonprofit that was established by Houston's banking community that we provide free office space to at our Covenant offices on Lyons Avenue in Fifth Ward, called the Credit Coalition. And they have a marvelous 6-class session, not just on home buyer preparation, but access to basic banking services, different strategies for retiring debt, and many other topics. So I really commend looking into that class. And if you take it through the Credit Coalition, we also provide a $100 bonus to you for doing so. And then in addition to that, there are a number of other benchmarks with savings matches I'll mention as we go forward. Next slide. Okay, so clients that are good fits for Covenant are folks who are working and have earned income, who filed last year's taxes. We're in tax season now, so and I should mention that Neighborhood Tax Centers, which is a program of Baker Ripley, is a great place to get your free taxes done. This is a program that Covenant incubated in partnership with the IRS years ago. And once we got it to 10,000 annual tax returns, we asked United Way if we could pass the program to another partner, and Baker Ripley has done a great job with that. So if you have not filed for a few years and need to catch up, they are very happy to help with that. If you need, an ITIN number or other sort like that to help you file, they can help you obtain that. And their filing services are free. So please consider that. You can look up neighborhood tax centers online or Baker Ripley and find the local site closest to you. They have multiple sites around town. Okay, additionally, someone who, as you are showing in presence today, are seeking to be a first-time home buyer. You've heard about credit already, and you'll hear more strategies as you have today about how those components put together. And then also have basic skills to complete documents because we use DocuSign to do enrollment online. Next slide. Okay, what are the benefits that we offer? Next. Okay, I talked a little bit about the 5 assets for a rich life workshop. It's a 2.5-hour Zoom class. And we talk about 5 types of assets. First, life assets. What are the things in our lives that underlay our financial outcomes? What are the things that we think will buy happiness? We look into the research around that. You'd be surprised with what some of the research shows. And we talk about health habits and work habits, savings habits, and then what we call risk management habits around insurance and storm preparedness and estate planning. So that's a free 2.5-hour workshop we offer monthly. Next slide. Then I've mentioned already the fundamentals of good credit class with the Credit Coalition. And then after you have your closing, we do a class in partnership with them on life as a homeowner, where you bring all your loan documents, everything you were presented at closing, which you probably don't spend a lot of time reading at closing. And we explain all the obligations of ownership, the things to be prepared for, home ownership maintenance tips, participation in your local neighborhood, being sure that you register as a homestead with the taxing jurisdiction so that you get those property tax benefits and other topics. Okay, next slide. We also offer one-on-one free coaching. You also have credit coaching available through Habitat, and we have coaches that help with credit as well, and savings tips, home loan pre-qualification, and assistance programs. But probably you'll get most of that help through your Habitat partner. Next slide. Okay. Then we also have a prize-linked savings award. So as you are saving in your savings account, if you reach certain benchmarks, once you reach $500 and maintain $500 or more for a 6-month period, and the periods we track are April through September and October through March, then clients will send out an email to our clients and say, hey, if you achieved one or more of these benchmarks during this last 6-month period, let us know that you would like to participate in our prize drawings. And so we have folks who will enter prize drawings, and we draw and send checks. We just sent checks this week to folks who won prizes in our last round. Those are checks for $50, $100, $250, $500, or $1,000, depending upon the benchmark that folks have achieved. So this is a great free way to recognize and reward you for your savings achievements. And as you may have heard, in Houston, only 40% of the population can't come up with $400 for an emergency. And so we have this incentive program to help you save and reward the savings that you set aside so that you don't fall prey to predatory loans, payday lenders, auto title lenders, and things like that you want to avoid. You can become your own lender by having your own emergency savings pot for the future. Okay, next slide. Okay, we are also a credit reporting agency. We report to all 3 credit bureaus, and we have a free credit builder loan. If you already have a score of 700 or above, well done. You are doing great. If you have no credit score because you've never had credit before, or if you have a score of less than 700, then as you are approaching mortgage qualification, we can help with credit builder loans to boost that score up. So there's no charge, there's no interest rate, there's no fees. We provide a $180 loan and you pay $15 a month over 12 months. And so there are, and that's also if you have few reporting lines of credit, we're happy to help with that. So that's a benefit available to clients in our program. We encourage you to kind of think about this is something that works kind of in the year before you're purchasing your home to help build credit. Okay, next slide. All right, here's some areas where we have additional matches. These are the things that help total up to that $5,000. So we have $1,000 once you just do the basic workshop. And also connected to that, we have a requirement that you do a will, because working in Fifth Ward since 1987, when I worked with Carl Umland and others to help launch Habitat, we've seen so many properties that were lost to tax foreclosure because people died intestate without a will. And there was disagreements among the survivors, and so the taxes take over and take the home back. So that's a requirement now. We're very happy we're able to introduce a free service, freewill.com, to Habitat. And so now Habitat has a marvelous new partnership with freewill.com. So do take advantage of that. Even if you ultimately don't purchase a home through Habitat, everybody needs a will, especially if you have children, because if you die intestate without a will, then the state will decide who's going to raise your children, and it may not be who you would want. So make sure that you care for them through that. And then you document how you want your home and assets to be transferred legally to those that you love. And then also there are bonuses, benchmark matches for the school quality in which the home is located in Zone 2, your down payment ratio. Fortunately, if you're a Habitat buyer, you'll automatically qualify for that bonus because we just raised our benchmark from a 30% ratio to 33% to support Habitat. If you don't have any consumer debt, if your credit score is above 700, if you have a robust emergency fund, if you're saving at least 5% of your income monthly toward future needs, if you are saving for retirement, if you have insurance coverages, if you're done the hard work to maintain a two-parent family to support your children, or if you're saving for your kids' college savings. These are all benchmarks that provide extra matches that can add up for you at closing. Next slide. Okay, so just to recap for you, you can get started with just a bare minimum amount, open a savings account and start paying yourself first with every paycheck. And we really encourage you to do payroll deposit rather than having to remember to save every payroll period. We have these match savings I've described. There's a 3-year eligibility period. We can help with second chance banking connections if you have a check systems that blocks you from opening an account at a traditional bank. We have the coaching and education I've mentioned. If you want to increase your earnings, we have workforce partners through our United Way relationship and others that we can connect you to through that. I've talked about the credit builder loans. Our IDA matches are stackable with every other program that are out there and can also be used for broker fees now. That's something that's come up this past summer. And then I mentioned the education IDA savings as well. So we encourage you to take advantage of this program and to help you achieve your goal of home ownership through your hard work that you're endeavoring to pursue in partnership with Habitat for Humanity, one of our city's greatest nonprofits. So thank you very much for joining us this morning. I'd be happy to take any questions.
Thank you so much, Stephen, for that great overview. as you can see, the financial preparations and steps can be so overwhelming for people just starting their home buyer journey. So we're so happy to have partnerships with our mortgage partners, with Covenant Community Capital, in order to assist our buyers with completing their home buying journey. So now we would actually like to move to answering any of your questions that you may have. We have received several throughout the presentation through Q&A. I don't see any here at the moment, but if you have a burning question that you would like to ask, please feel free to enter that in the chat or in the Q&A button. And both either I, along with Leanne or Stephen, can answer your questions that you may have. Or if you have a question related to our home buyer program, we have Monica still here, as well as any questions related to credit. Sylvia Biabando can answer those questions as well. Give you a few minutes in case you're typing. So a couple common questions that we do see when we're working with families that ask questions about the homeownership program with Houston Habitat for Humanity. One of those questions is regarding the types of income that we allow, the types of income that can be included in that. And basically it's your household income. Any income that comes into your household is counted as income. For individuals that are your applicant or your co-applicants, we do require your paycheck stubs. If you're receiving disability or Social Security income, we include that as well. For any of your kids, if you have a dependent that's in your home that's over 18 years of age, their income is included as well. And finally, child support is included as an income line. We include child support because one of the components of child support is for the support of the child, which does include shelter, clothes, shoes, food, and all those things. So we do include child support. When we're partnering with the City of Houston for their down payment assistance program, they're going to evaluate every coin that comes into your household. So we want to make sure that we prepare you for that all the income that you receive will be considered. So that is something that we do want you to include. There is one question here that says, can we go over again the areas where we currently build? So right now we do have several areas within the Houston area that we currently build or where we are developing land to prepare for building in the future. So those areas that we're building right now are in the north area of Houston. That would be in our Avenue Park subdivision. We have areas in Northeast, which is our Robbins Landing subdivision. We have areas in the south, which is in Kennedy Heights or Cullen. We have areas in the middle or the central part of Houston, which is Third Ward, Midtown, as well as we have areas that we are developing in the southwest side of town, which are Anderson and Simsbrook. Sorry about that. Simsbrook. So yes, so we do have areas that are all over the Houston area. If you would like to be north, if you would like to be northeast, south, southwest, or even in the central part of Houston. So we do have areas available. There is a question here that says, if you live in an apartment and you finish building your home, but your lease isn't up, what are your recommendations for something like this? This is actually a question that maybe I can refer over to Leanne, because I'm assuming the question is related to a mortgage. So again,
I guess you would have to get with your individual apartment complex to see if you would could get out of the lease. That wouldn't be something we would take into account with regards to the mortgage, unless it would apply specifically to one of your habitat related mortgages, because I don't think you're going to be able to get out of your lease. But I hate to speak on behalf of the apartment complex.
Yes, and as far as Houston Habitat for Humanity is concerned, if you're working with us and your home is being built and you currently live in an apartment, we would basically try to coordinate the two, whereas we would consider you for a home that's going to be complete around the time that your lease is finishing up. What we don't want you to do is to be out of a lot of money trying to break a lease or anything like that. And of course, we don't want you to break a lease and it end up on your credit. So we do try to coordinate those dates, whereas we look at, because we're building year round. So it may not be a home that's ready right now. You may be eligible for a home that may be ready around, again, the same time that your lease is ending. So those are kind of the options that Houston Habitat uses when you're working with us and you currently live in an apartment and you're looking for home ownership.
Yeah, that's what I try to do too, is maybe just have like maybe a 30-day gap just to allow for moving. But yeah, I would definitely recommend trying to coordinate it pretty closely.
Yes. So another question here is, it says, my son, 22, lives with me and works for the last 3 years. My income alone doesn't qualify for Habitat, but with his, it would put me over the 50,000 minimum income. Is that correct? That is correct. So if you have an adult child that lives with you and they work, their household income is included. That child can actually be your co-applicant. We have families that have closed with their adult children. So you and your child will be co-applicants. We will qualify you along with your son the same way. All the requirements will be required for both of you. Both of your income, both of your credit will be evaluated. Both of your bank statements will be evaluated as well. So additionally, with that income, we do want to ensure that both the income of you and your son does not put you over the 80% guideline as well for your household. So if it's just the two of you, then the maximum income is 60,000. I think it's $60,600. So it's just the two of you, then the income has to be between $50,000 and $60,600. If you have more children or more dependents that live in the home, then that max would be relevant to your particular home size. Are there any other questions? Another question I do want to address also is, again, how to apply with us. You can actually see it on our screen that in order to apply, we do ask you to complete the eligibility quiz on our website. On the screen, it says if you want to apply or learn more, we do ask you to visit www.houstonhabitat.org/homeownership. There you will find information about our qualifications. You would also find information about the eligibility quiz and how to complete that online. Related to, I'm trying to think of any other questions that we see often. Okay, ask. Sweat equity, we've had questions related. The Houston Habitats program does require sweat equity. 100 of those hours are related to construction. We've had individuals that say, well, I've never built a home before, so what do? Well, we teach you, number one, but also we do offer activities for all skill levels. So if you're an individual that may be a senior, you may have a disability, we have those individuals that are that are actually in our program that are still able to participate. We'll just have a different set of activities for that person to do that are actually related to their skill level. Another couple of questions, it says, how long does the process take? Typically in our program, it takes about 8 to 12 months to finish our program. We have had some families that were very aggressive. They had help with their family members and friends that helped them with construction. They were committed to go ahead and complete their education hours as well. And we've had one family, actually one of the videos that you saw today, she finished the program in 4 months because she was committed to providing a safe and affordable home for her family. So it can be done in a lot shorter period of time. The minimum time, as Stephen mentioned, with working with Covenant Community Capital is 3 months. So working with them, they want to show that consistency of saving over that at least 3 month period of time. So it can be done in as little as 3 months and as long as 12 months to complete the program. So if you're not approved, what we suggest is that if you're not approved, if you complete the eligibility quiz and you're not approved, you want to see, do you really meet any of those 4 requirements that we listed? And again, on the screen, we have that you have to be a U.S. citizen or have some type of permanent residency status. Additionally, you have to demonstrate a need for housing, meaning that there are 3 options to prove your need for housing. Additionally, you have to have the ability to pay your mortgage, and that's where that minimum $50,000 comes in. And then, are you willing to partner with Houston Habitat? Part of willingness to partner is related to completing your sweat equity. It's related to just as simple as submitting your documents in a timely manner, and as we are asking this, as well as working with the partners that we partner with that will help you ultimately find your home. So that's all the willingness to partner aspect of our program. Do we have any other questions? Nothing else in the chat? Okay, I'll just answer a couple more common questions. And feel free, Leanne or Stephen, if you all feel like it's something that you may not have covered or want to make sure you touched on during your presentation, you can feel free to jump in as well. So the question says, if I'm married, but I don't want my spouse included on the application, can I still apply? Well, Monica actually covered that at the beginning of our presentation when we spoke about the program and marital status. So if you are married, you must include your spouse on the application. And that's simply due to the state of Texas requirement. And because we're a common law state, if you're married, that married partner has to be included. If you are estranged from your spouse and you basically don't know where that spouse is, we do have partnerships with legal aid so that you can work on dissolving that relationship if that's something that you would like to do before you apply. But if you are married, then you are required to apply with your spouse. Do you have to be a U.S. citizen? We spoke about that. So yes,
to that.
You do have to.
No, I was just going to add a little to that. Now, normal products that aren't related to the habitat, you do have the ability to not put your spouse on the note, but per Texas homestead laws, they must be on the deed of trust. But there are things you can do to not put them on the note, but bear in mind, you can't use their income if you need it. So there's the catch-22 with that.
Right. And also Leanne too, being on the deed, that gives that estranged spouse the rights to that property too,
absolutely, correct? Absolutely. And if you're not legally divorced, you better think twice about buying a house, because you need to be divorced, because that other spouse has access to that property if you're still legally married.
Yes. Okay. Well, I think that's it, everyone. I cannot believe how much information we packed in on a Saturday morning. I want to thank you for taking the time to join us today. I'm hopeful that you've gained some essential knowledge, but more importantly, I hope you are inspired and empowered to become a Houston Habitat homeowner. You have heard from a couple of our homeowners on how the Houston Habitat has transformed their lives. Houston Habitat stands ready to help you achieve strength, stability, and self-reliance through homeownership. If you and your family are currently living in substandard, overcrowded, or unaffordable housing conditions, I urge you to apply to our homeownership program. As a reminder, there are 3 basic requirements for participation. Number 1 is that you have to demonstrate a need for affordable housing. You have to have the ability to pay an affordable mortgage, and you have to show a willingness to partner with Houston Habitat. To apply and to complete our eligibility quiz, we ask that you visit our website at houstonhabitat.org. Also want to make sure that I tell you about our restores. Houston Habitat's home improvement stores and donation centers that sell new and gently used merchandise to the general public at a fraction of suggested retail prices. We have 2 locations here in the Houston area. One is on the 610 Loop and one is on West 34th Street. Our restores cater to do-it-yourselfers, small contractors, upcyclers, and treasure hunters. From home repair supplies to a new or gently used furniture or appliances and more. The Restore has it. And one thing is that revenue from Restore purchases help fund Houston Habitat program. Once again, you can find everything you need to know about becoming a homeowner at houstonhabitat.org, or you may reach out directly to our homeownership team by calling us at 713-671-9993 or emailing us at familyservices@houstonhabitat.org. As we conclude our time together today, I want to once again thank Veritex Community Bank for sponsoring today's homeownership fair, as well as thank our other speaker from Covenant Community Capital, Stephen Fairfield. And I want to thank you all for taking the first step toward homeownership. Houston Habitat stands ready to help you achieve your dream of homeownership. Thank you again for attending, and God bless you.